Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. The Idaho State Police, who were heavily involved in the investigation into the crimes that occurred at 1122 King Road on November 13th, 2022, have released hundreds of pages of documents and also photographs from their investigatory files into the catastrophic events at 1122 King Road. One such document, this is document number 0004. It is entitled Name Redacted Interview, Idaho State Police. And under the Administrative Information section, it states here that this was an ISP interview. The report date is November 21st, 2022, but the interview happened days earlier, as we see here under the summary narrative, which reads that on November 18th, 2022 at approximately 12:42 p.m., Idaho State Police detectives interviewed, name redacted, at the ISP District 3 office in Meridian, Idaho, regarding the unalivings which occurred at the University of Idaho on November 13th. And under the section witness, the witness who's being identified is a female, 21 years of age, and who resides in Boise. Under the next section, property, we note that there is evidence listed here. Item number 1CD, interview, audio laser compact disc. And this is a recording which tells us that this interview, unlike certain other interviews by the ISP, that this interview was recorded. Under the narrative section, it reads, on November 18th, 2022 at approximately 12:42 p.m., ISP Detective Sergeant Ken Beckner and Trooper Andrew Weinstein interviewed, name redacted, at the ISP District 3 office in Meridian, Idaho, regarding the unalivings which occurred at the University of Idaho on November 13th. During the interview, redacted stated the following. And if we go on to page number 2, paragraph 2, she lived at, address redacted, King Road, across the street from the 1122 King Road house. One of the people across the street was a former sorority sister. One was a classmate, and the other two were people she knew through mutual friends. She knew Madison and Kaylee the best. Paragraph 3. Her boyfriend was best friends with Mogan's boyfriend, name redacted. So they hung out a lot. This was a current relationship. Mogan was in a class with her. Paragraph 4. Gonzalez was an, word redacted, sorority sister. Paragraph 5. She knew Xana and Ethan in passing. Paragraph 6. She has lived at, redacted, King Road for just the semester and is currently a senior in school. She lived in the sorority house for 3 years, and this is the first year outside of the sorority. 7. She has been inside the 1122 King Road house multiple times, with the last time being in September. They came over to her house more often. Paragraph 8. She has known Mogan and Gonzalez for 3 years. They met through recruitment. 9. She saw Mogan and Gonzalez Saturday night, November 12th, They went to the corner club after the game. Mogan and Gonsalves were already there when she arrived. She was there for a couple of hours and was really intoxicated. She left before Mogan and Gonsalves. It was sometime around midnight. Paragraph 10. Gonsalves had jokingly mentioned she thought she had someone following her at Winco. It had happened once and was an unknown person. Paragraph 11. She heard from another friend an instance of the house door at 1122 King Road being open after all the roommates returned from a weekend trip. 12. She has a basement room and can see the 1122 King Road house from it. She woke up at 9:00 a.m. on Sunday morning. She didn't hear or see anything that night. 13. 1122 King Road didn't have a party on Saturday night. They may have had one on Friday, but it wasn't crazy. Paragraph 14. Mogan and name redacted were a solid couple and had dated for a year. Name redacted was with her boyfriend in Boise that weekend. And then paragraph 15, the interview concluded at 12:52 p.m. And the author of this report is Kenneth A. Beckner. He is one of the two interviewees identified in this narrative. If I could add a few points here, ladies and gentlemen. It appears that this interview was very short because it tells us, paragraph 1, at approximately 12:42 p.m., the interview started on November 18th, 2022. But looking at paragraph 15, the interview concluded at 12:52 p.m. This means this is 10 minutes of a recorded interview of a witness who has told these two ISP law enforcement officials, number one, she had known Kaylee and Madison for 3 years. She knew them fairly well or very well. Her boyfriend was best friends with Madison's boyfriend, so they, quote, hung out a lot, end of quote, as they say here in paragraph 3. She knew Kaylee as a sorority sister. She has lived across the street from the King Road residence and could actually see the house from the room that she was renting in the basement. She had been inside the 1122 King Road house multiple times. She talked about that she had heard through another friend that during an entire weekend when everyone was gone from 1122 that the house was open. She knew there wasn't a party, or didn't think there was a party on Saturday night the 12th, but there might have been one on Friday the 11th, quote, but it wasn't crazy, end of quote, without explaining what crazy meant in this context. There's no information. She says here she woke up at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. Didn't see or hear anything that night, but if she was at home at noon or just before, what, if anything, did she see from her room? That sounds like it's just a few yards away on the other side of the street, according to this interview, to 1122 King Road, because at that time, she would have probably seen at a minimum all of these law enforcement officials, a number of people gathered out front. It just seems to me this was a very short interview, especially considering she's saying here that she was at the Corner Club, which is one of the places that Kaylee and Madison were seen last, just hours before the start of the timeline of the crimes. According to law enforcement, the state of Idaho commenced sometime after 4 a.m. And according to information that we've been provided at the public, Kaylee and Madison left the Corner Club at 1:30 a.m. or thereabouts. So this is just hours before she left at midnight that she was with Kaylee and Madison. And in my opinion, it merited more than a 10-minute brief interview as to what this witness might have seen, might have heard, or might have known that could have been of assistance at this very early time in the process of the investigation. This is just 5 days later. And another point that I wanted to stress is that twice here, the author of this report and the person who interviewed this witness for this brief 10-minute period of time wrote that these unalivings occurred at the University of Idaho. They did not. They occurred off campus, very close to the University of Idaho, but it certainly wasn't at the University of Idaho. These are the opinions that I provide pursuant to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. If there's anything that you would like to add, any opinions or any comments, any thoughts regarding this matter, please leave them here. Until next time, this is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.